one of the biggest reasons we doing that is for all the people out there that feel like they under attack, that feel like I say, lost, that feel like their parents maybe gave up on them, or they didn't have a dad, or they got treated this way. You have to still understand, at the end of the day, it's on you to pick yourself up. It's on you to learn how to love yourself. It's on you to understand, hey, look, I need to do something for myself. If you think it, you might not see it this way, but in a way, it's selfish.
Because I feel like once you get in the hospital, it's like they get you on medicine that get you, you know how the commercials be like, take this medicine and it'll help with this, and this. And then it'd be like, it also causes this, stomach ache, heart pain, this, that. And then it's like, so then you get medicine for the medicine and medicine for the medicine. You get locked in a cycle. And
so if you've been doing something 40, 50 years, to just have someone come in here and tell me in a week to change, it's almost impossible.
I guess my grandma's older, and she has a certain way of living. But I would think that if she would wanted to, if she was in the right mind, she would choose to keep going or eat a certain way so that she can be there with her kids for longer. But I had time to think about it, and I was like, man, if only he had just came, or I was able to get him to come to Atlanta, things would be different, and he would be on the podcast with us probably right now if he decided or was able to come down here. But that's just the route he took. But
hello world, how everybody doing out there today? Welcome to another episode of Generational Health and Self-Love. I'm your host, Life.
Ron Easy.
And today we're doing a show, just me and Ron Easy. We're going to talk about our journey to get here, to start doing the podcast, and all the things that it took to get to where we at, to filming the way we doing and having guests. And another thing we're going to touch on is really our reasons for actually starting a podcast. So I hope you guys pay attention to us, follow us, like us, subscribe, and share. But we will be sharing some content with you guys today that hopefully everyone can look back and maybe use some of the things that we say and just understand where we're coming from and our mission.
Yes, sir. Like he said, we're bringing it back to the basics. It's been a while since y'all seen just me and my dad. So we're bringing it back there. And what you guys might not know is, before we did all this or started all this podcast, we did have an episode with me and him back in the day when we talked about food and health and all that. So this is gonna be the episode where we talk about why we really got into all this. Because I know when we started, it was really just us talking about our background and our lives. But now we're gonna tell you why we doing all this, because it's a reason for everything. So that's what we're gonna be getting into today, and I hope y'all enjoy.
Definitely. So I'm gonna go ahead and start it off and tell you a little bit about how we got to this point. First of all, like he was just saying, we started a YouTube channel. We started our Generational Health and Self-Love probably 2 years ago, maybe.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, something like that. And we started at home. We were cooking different vegan meals, just talking about health as far as physical health, the things that you eat and stuff like that. So we would have episodes of us cooking in the kitchen, talking about different things that can help you with any type of health issue you might be going through. So we did probably maybe anywhere from 5 to 7 episodes of that. And then we kind of got lost as far as our own social life, and we kind of got away from that. And so we talked about it over a period of time and saying, look, we're going to get back to it. So I think over a period of time, we both grew in our own space. And so we got back together and we talked about it, and we sat down and said, you know what? Let's do it again, but let's do it different this time. Let's talk about mental health instead of physical health. Let's talk about childhood traumas. Let's talk about people that want to speak out but are afraid to speak out. Let's talk about anything that might be causing someone to not be at their best. Any problem, any issues that's currently in someone's life, or any past issues. Let's discuss these things. let's start being honest with ourselves. Let's start trying to be strong within our family and within our communities when it comes to expressing ourselves and just being honest with ourselves. So that's kind of how we got to where we at. Of course, there's other things along the way, but I'm sure he want to share some of the things as well.
Yeah, like you said, back in the day, we was doing the little episodes or like of us talking about the health reasons and things to do to get better. But after that, after we stopped that, like you said, it's like years went past, and eventually I went into doing a little bit of YouTube. And after like I got out of high school and I was single, I had decided that I wanted to go figure out who I was and focus on myself, meditate and all that other stuff. I started attracting the people I wanted around me, and I started to do a podcast with my friends. And first I started with like one other friend. Then after me posting that video, people seen it, and then I got in contact with some more friends, some more like-minded friends, and then we went somewhere else and did another podcast episode with two other of my friends and the person I started with, and then it got a little bigger, and we got like five or six of us on the podcast, and it was called New Gen Revaluation Podcast, and we was running that. And eventually, my dad had asked me, should we, bring back what we was doing with the health and generational health and self love 2 years ago, and I was like, shoot, that's like perfect timing because I've already got some experience and did the little podcast with my friends, and this is something we can start doing together again. But if we do it, we have to take it serious. So we planned it and then got right back into it. And I think what instead of going straight for health first, in the start of our podcast, we went with doing mental and trauma, because if you have certain traumas, you're not really gonna be worried about like what you're eating. Like if you don't, well, it depends. If you have something that's really like hurting you, or you in a certain situation, you first got to figure out yourself, and then you can decide whether you want to go ahead and be healthier for yourself and the people around you. But if you don't really care, or you're not in a mental space to even care about how healthy you're eating or what you're eating, then you're not going to want to do it. So we decided that it'd be smarter to talk about traumas and figuring out how to get through certain situations or problems, and then we can start easing our way into the health and even wealth.
Of course, definitely. So, piggyback off of what he was just saying, we started off with these episodes talking about, we started with my childhood and the different things that I went through. And so, for me, it was very good for him to be able to hear that and kind of somewhat visualize the things that I have went through. So that way, hearing it from me and him having a podcast together and we're talking about it, it just helps to hear from me, to go through that whole scenario of all those different things that happened in the past. It's good to be able to sit down with your child or your children and speak to them about anything that you've done, and don't feel any shame, because it is what it is. That's what happened. I can't change it. I'm just letting you know, because it's good for our children to know things about us, because children, they grow up sometimes angry, mad about different situations, and they don't know the background. They don't know what the life that was going on prior to them coming into the world. So for them to be able to be able to sit down with you, mother or father or both, and then be able to explain and give them all the good, all the bad, and in between. Because like I said, you shouldn't be ashamed of anything you were doing, because you did it, So it's been very helpful for me and him, I think, mentally, to start this podcast, to be able to be free and honest with each other, talk about the past and not feel ashamed, and continue to show people that, hey, look, you can sit down with your child or your children, like I said, and you can have this open conversation with them and speak on anything, because at the end of the day, the children are going to need their parents and the parents are going to need their children. So why not have a situation where we can kind of trust each other when it comes to conversation? We can be honest, we can be open, and we don't judge each other when the conversation is over with. So for me, I've already talked to him a lot about my past and the rest of my children. So some of the things that he hear on the podcast, we may not have discussed those things because there's so many things, but he has a general overall outlook on all the things that I have done in the past. So even when he does hear something new, it's not surprising because he know a lot of the other things that went on. So once again, don't be afraid to talk to your children or child, and just be honest with them, because you're going to want the same thing out of them. You're going to want them to be honest with you, so it's only right that you be honest with them.
Yeah, and not gonna lie, honestly, a lot of stuff I did here was actually surprising hearing it from you, yourself, actually. But another thing to piggyback on another thing you said, about being ashamed when you're talking about your kids, about your past and all that stuff. I don't think you should be ashamed, because if you're not, you can only be ashamed if you're not happy where you are right now, because all the things you did in your past led to where you are right now. So if you're not happy right now, then I would see why you could be ashamed. But if you are, then don't be ashamed about what happened in the past, because it got you to where you are now. And I know we've talked about what has led us to starting a podcast, but I think we could get more into like what our reasoning is, like within, or like how we thought about it, or what made us really go ahead and dig right into like doing the episodes and what we did 2 years ago. And I guess I'll start by saying like what got me really like wanting to do this, and thinking about it a lot, and just deciding to go ahead, even the podcast with my friends, is like from a young age. If you watched the episodes before when I talked about my life, I've been in so many different areas, so I've seen a lot of different like living styles or areas, or how people live, and you start to ask a lot of questions and think about a lot of stuff. So I realized that it felt like so many things were geared against people, or my people, or whoever, however you want to say it, just the common person, because like it's either the foods we eat, or the type of music that is pushed more, or the shows we watch, and the medicine, really, really, really the medicine. And I started to ask and realize about things like that when I was younger, and I'm like, why does it feel like we're slick being attacked, but not knowingly? And that got me asking questions, and so on and so forth, that led me to wanting to talk about this stuff, because I don't hear or get to talk about it with a lot of people all the time, because everybody don't know or care too much about it. So why not start the podcast with people who do want to talk about it or know about it? So
Definitely. And that's like a lot of people know different things, but some people, like I said, they are afraid or they don't know how to approach a situation. So having this podcast for me and doing it with my son, it couldn't be a better person to do it with, because he just ready, and he has an open mind to different things, and he research, he does his homework, he reads, he does a lot of things. So he don't just come up here and just talk. He actually does a lot of research into whatever it is that we're talking about. So doing it with him is something that, I mean, to me, that's like successful to me. Like being able to do something like this, to be in this space, to be able to talk openly like this. I mean, it don't get no better than this, to be able to have this, and for him to be 20. The average 20-year-old ain't trying to be around their dad like that. Some of them are, don't get me wrong, but for the most part, they out with their friends, they with their girls, they trying to do different things. So to have him here and to be around older people, people that are well accomplished, to have him sit down and be able to interview these people and talk to these people and pick their brain at such a young age, I know it's only going to elevate him moving forward. So I'm getting to see my son and his elevation all in person. Like I'm getting to see it up close and personal. So, I mean, what greater gift can you give to a father? So go ahead.
okay, I got a question. So what actually, like we said, the reason for we started like 2 years ago when we
Yeah.
did it, what was like you feel like was going through your mind and your body, what that made you say, you wanted to sit down and have these talks, or do the help? What made you? Was there any like one moment or time period or something that you was thinking in your head that made you want to start?
Yeah, that's a good question too. What made me want to do it in the beginning was just basically your health, because I just knew moving forward, or anything could happen to me. So I want to at least, introduce this to you, even though by that time that we had started doing it, I had been talking about health for a while by then. For years I had been talking about health. But this time I felt like you have gotten older, and now it's time to take that conversation into more action. So now you learn how to cook even more, because we was cooking them meals on there. We cooked probably what, five, each show we cooked. So you know what I'm saying. So that was something I want you to be able to do, and just think about it. From that time to now, you cook every day almost.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
prior to the show, were you cooking every day?
Not every day. I think when we started, I wasn't even vegan already. I don't think I was vegan because that was 2 years ago. I was vegetarian, so I was eating
Yeah.
still eating snacks and stuff.
Yeah, but I mean, from that point on, and I'm just now thinking about it now. I wasn't even on my mind like that, but you have started cooking more and more and more. And then at the same time, it's just like for us to spend, it was a chance for us to be able to spend time with each other as well. And just, I just seen that you was kind of seeking different knowledge and information, so it was a time for me to be able to be a part of the information you was getting at that time, and moving forward too. And I felt like, I know you trust me. I know that we ain't never had no issues growing up, as far as, of course, everybody, hey, you need to do this, you need to do that. But as far as just like you being rebellious, or you just like not giving a damn, we never had any issues like that. So we always, for the most part, you are grown into a whole nother person than you were when you were younger. Of course, you're gonna have the essence of who you are as you're younger, but growing into a young man, you become another person as well. So now, when you didn't speak up, you can speak up, or you're being a little more vocal now, and you're expressing yourself a little more. So it's just good to be able to be there and be able to talk to you, or at least have you able to come to me and have open conversation with me as well. So just really just trying to be there as much as I can, and just also learning from my past and different things that I may have not done well as a father too. So it's just a combination of things, and I'm glad that we started it. I'm glad that we did have that break, because we came back even stronger. We came back even better. We came back just more focused, more professional.
Right.
So it served us well. We touched it a little bit, and we came back. So overall, I just wanted to be there for you, just at the end of the day.
I think that's the main reason.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I see that and I agree with that. And I was just thinking, like, was there something personal more like growing up? Well, I guess we already kind of talked about what happened.
No, I mean,
but like,
that's cool. We can touch.
nah, I was just trying to see, because I was it purely just you seeing me, I'm your son. I know you want to do the podcast with me, but was there a reason like you decided to like? Because I mean, we didn't really have to talk about health, I guess, but
Yeah.
you decided to start with that. Like, is there somebody you knew that was like, or
Well,
people?
I mean, people in general, but at the time, my focus was really on you, and at the
Okay,
same
so that's-
time, it wouldn't. It was like, okay, this is something that, if done right, it can turn into a legacy. This is something that me and you can do, and then moving forward, it can just open so many doors for the both of us and our families. Like, and when I say families, I mean your children and their children, and I mean keep going on and on, not just present day, but future. And I think a lot of times we don't think about the future, even though you do supposed to focus on your right now, but your right now is building your future. You know what I'm saying? So I'm thinking like, okay, I could do something different with my son, that this can carry on for even after I'm gone, because I do, like, who don't want to be thought about, talked about, even after you transition into the physical, I mean the spiritual world. You know what I'm saying? So once you leave this physical body, a lot of people, you know, they die, funeral over, a week later, you forget all about them.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I just feel like we can build something to where when I do transition, you can be talking to your son and say, "Hey, look, man, your grandpa, my dad, we did this, we did that," and so he gonna do the same thing with you, and that's how we continue to live on even after we're gone. So it just was a bigger picture for me, um,
Okay. I mean,
moving
yeah.
forward with the podcast. So yeah, I definitely enjoy it. I love it, and it's like the best thing in the world right now.
Okay. I get that now. I get that now. But going back to like when I was saying the reasons why I started in the health thing, it was also getting more into it. It's like seeing people around you that's struggling health wise or being in a hospital or having strokes and all this other stuff. It's kind of like, and the people is like family members sometimes. They struggling because of health reason, and it's like seeing it and knowing that like there's ways they could be getting better. It's kind of like messes with the head a little bit, because I know somebody who is struggling health wise and they've been in and out the hospital, but it's a close family member, but they're so older now that they don't want to change the ways because they grew up learning or eating a certain way, and when you get so old you don't want to change no more. So it's like sometimes hard to see them and know that you could basically save them by them eating a certain way or changing exactly what they're doing or how they're eating, but knowing that because they was raised a certain way you can't do anything because family saying that you should just let them do what they want, because they're older now, so you can't force them. I guess you can't really force them
Yeah.
to do it. So it's like hopefully doing a podcast will help people to get their kids or even themselves to make a change prior to getting super old, so they won't be stuck in like having to depend on medicines and staying in the hospital. Because I feel like once you get in the hospital, it's like they get you on medicine that get you how the commercials be like, take this medicine and it'll help with this and this, and then it'd be like it also causes this stomach ache, heart pain, this that, and then it's like, so then you get medicine for the medicine and medicine and medicine, you get locked in a cycle. And before we get to that far, hopefully we can reach people and they talk to their kids and or they talk to their kin who are their family and stop that from stop it from getting that far. Because I don't want nobody to have to see their people struggling knowing that you could help them, but they don't want to because they don't know the way, or they're not used to doing that.
Well,
So
the thing about that, and I'm listening to what you're saying, and I agree with you. But this is the thing: as you learning this different stuff, and you come into this information, the one of the biggest things that you're gonna have to learn how to do is to be at peace with other people, not wanting to accept the way you live your life and the things that you incorporating into your life to keep you healthy. You have to be at peace with that, because that's the only way that it won't affect you in a way to kind of like throw you off, or just take away that energy, because you'll go around and you'll feel sad and you'll be like, wow, if they just, but it just ain't gonna happen, because I'm just saying, like, this is the way that you protect yourself, because I've been there. Of course, man, you can have a conversation. I say, look, I could have did this or did that, but they don't want to listen, and that's okay. And the reason why I say that's okay, because there are people that do want to listen, and so they deserve your energy and your time, because they're willing to give you that, and other people just don't want to hear it. And like I said, everyone has a choice. So like how we doing the podcast, everybody in the world is not going to listen to it, but the ones who are, these are the ones that we're here for. We talking to the people that want to heal. We talking to the people that want to make a difference in their lives and in the people who are around them, that they can affect in a positive way. So like these are the people that we're reaching out to, and these are the people that we're going to gravitate to, because these are the people who are willing to accept what it is that we're sharing to them, that we're open arms, whether they're friends, whether they're family, whether they're strangers. You know, everybody is just they have they ways, and some people are going to change, some people are not going to change. It's all on the individual. So for all the ones who don't want to change, who don't want to listen to the message, who just want to, they had to suffer the consequences, because your decisions won't affect me.
I mean, yeah, I get that, and I kind of already went through that when it came to like, I mean, at one point I was like picky about or saying I used to always say stuff about what certain people ate. Like if I go to my mom's, I'm
Yeah.
like, "Hey, mom, you shouldn't have."
Yeah.
And I seen myself after a while. You know, they was like, "I sound like you."
Yeah,
They was like,
yeah.
"I sound like you."
Sound like your dad,
Talking
yeah.
to me, saying all this,
Yeah.
and I was like, you know, I could see that. I could see
Yeah.
that I was, you know, might have been picky. So then I stepped back from doing all that, and I would just, you know, sometimes make it to where it's not, you know, annoying, and it's just, you know, like motivational more like.
Yeah.
So when it comes to like helping people and that want to be helped, I get that now, but it's just like when it comes to, because when I'm telling them not to eat this or that, it's not really life threatening. But when it comes, it feel like it's different when it's like people, if they don't change, they're literally in the hospital, might die
Yeah.
for real, for real.
Yeah.
I feel like you should just, no matter, even, I know it's probably not right, but no matter whether they want to or not, you know, tell them they got to do this. But I know you can't. I realize you can't do that. So I mean, it just feel like we had like
It's you,
just
if you
would
think
try.
it, you might not see it this way, but in a way it's selfish of us to try to force our way, even though we know it's gonna help them. It's selfish of us because that ain't what they want to do, and we know it's gonna help them, but it don't matter what we know. What matters is what they know and how they feel and how they take in the information. Because let's okay, take for instance your pawpaw. I just lost my dad, your pawpaw, in September. When he first got diagnosed with cancer, me and Maya flew up there to St. Louis, went grocery shopping, changed his whole diet around. And when he went back to the doctors and they did all their testing, his levels were all the way down. He said they told him, well, no, whatever you doing, keep doing it, because it's almost like you don't even have it. Because what we had implemented into his life was now attacking the cancer and pushing it out of his system. So what happened was he went back to his normal way of eating and doing, you know, the just
Smoking.
smoking cigarettes, and then just eating what he, you know, what caused the cancer in the first place. Because it's an addiction. It's hard to stop something that you've been doing. Like at this point, he in his 60s. So if you've been doing something 40, 50 years, to just have someone come in here and tell me in a week to change, it's almost impossible, because I've been doing it so long. It's become a part of life to me. So it's hard for me to step away from that and leave this alone, because it's geared in my mind that that's just the way life is. And so for some people you can change. And I wish that he would have stayed on that diet. And that was part of the reason why I was kind of, you know, I kind of ignored him. I kind of ignored him because I didn't want to see what I knew was about to happen. So I was kind of afraid, because I knew. And when I went up there and I seen him before he passed, you know, I'm glad I was up there and the rest of y'all wasn't, because what happened to his body over those few months of me not seeing him, I couldn't even believe it. You know what I mean? So it's just like I know what you're saying. I understand what you're saying. But even in that situation, it was out of my control. So when something out of my control, the best thing for me to do to stay in control is to just let it go and be at peace with it. Even though it may be a hard thing to do, it has to be done, because for you moving forward, you're gonna have children,
Mm-hmm.
and when you have children, you're gonna be thinking about what's best for them. Cause so what so and so talking about and what they saying, oh, I don't worry about. Cause this what Lil Ronald Jr. or whatever, he this is where my focus needs to be at because he's listening to me. He's taking in what I'm saying. This person here, they're not listening to me. So I'm wasting my time when I can be giving this information to someone who's going to use it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sometimes you just feel like they're not in their right mind, and which makes you want to try to do more, but because like they really said and thought, it's so many people that's maybe like so many people that love them still, and if they were still there with them, it would be a big impact. But I guess like you said, once you go so far, it's kind of not going back. But it's like having them still there would be like it would help so much. But because once that time comes, it's gonna be a lot of people that's gonna be hurt from what happened. So I just knowing that when the big figure is about to pass on or go ahead, like it's a lot of people that's connected with them. It's
Yeah.
everybody's gonna be hurt and all that other stuff. But I guess it's inevitable because at the end of the day, I guess it's gonna
But
happen.
but think
eventually.
about this. About all the people that's going to be affected by it, right? Them people might have some similar happen to them and take the same approach. Now you thought about that? I'm saying like people. Okay, like I say, like take my dad for instance, with him getting diagnosed with prostate, right? And it affecting people around him. Some of the same people might get diagnosed with something similar to that and still take the same approach, even though his approach didn't work. All I'm saying is, even though losing him, it's like prior to losing him, it was somebody else that was lost that had something similar who chose the same route. All I'm saying is a lot of people just not gonna change. They just ain't gonna change no matter what happens. And you got some people who just, you know what, I've been feeling like this, or they scared, or they worried about what people gonna say about them. Even like when I first became a vegan back in 2009, everybody was looking at me like I was crazy.
Yeah.
But everybody take 2009 and come all the way move forward to 2024. A lot of the people that thought I was crazy, they overweight, they on prescription medication, they backs look like they got 2-3 backpacks on. No disrespect, trying to be funny, but majority of all those people are having some type of health issue or overweight, and it's like I'm young, I'm older than them, most of them. And some of them the same age, some of them we all in the same age group. But all I'm saying is a lot of people they just let themselves go. They don't work out. I just know, like, even from people that I went to high school with, a lot of people don't look the same. A lot of women don't look the same. A lot of men don't look like they all, like, not all of them, but a lot of them just overweight. A lot of them just let themselves go. They just sit around, they eat, they go to work, come home, eat, go to work, come home, eat, take a vacation once or twice every couple of years. I don't know, they just have let themselves go physically, and some of them let themselves go mentally. It all comes down to building up enough love for self to say, you know what, I'm better than this. Look in the mirror and be proud of what you see. If you look in the mirror and you're not happy with what you see, do something about it. If you look in the mirror and you say, man, my stomach way out to here, or my size like this, or if I bend over to pick up my shoes, when I get up, I'm breathing hard, or I walked up these stairs and I'm out of breath. When you see these things going on in your life, that's a sign. That's to tell you, hey, look, it's something that I need to do different, because if I don't, what's my future gonna look like? Prescription medication.
Yeah, and
I mean, like,
yeah, I get that. And what I was talking about was my grandma. But
Yeah, I know.
what I'm thinking is, at what age do you eventually stop? Like you said, when you see me, you do things that's for me or for for the better of your kids or your
Yeah.
children. So I'm like, at what point do you get to an age where you're doing stuff to help, your kids or be there for your kids or whatnot? Because yes, my grandma's older, but and she has a certain way of living. But I would think that if she would like wanted to, like if she was in the right mind, she would choose to keep going or eat a certain way so that she can be there with her kids for longer. But I don't even think it's gotten to the point where she isn't in like her regular mind or like who she really was before she started going like having to be in the hospitals and whatnot now. So like I'm thinking like, is there a certain age? Would you think a certain age or a time when you decide to start making decisions for your kids, or is
No,
it?
it's basically it comes down to information for once. Information, and are you willing to absorb that information? Because the change in like for that's a whole nother generation, right?
Yeah.
So that generation, once you understand generations and what was going on during those generations, it becomes a little more clear of why people choose and do the things that they do. And so I understand why she chooses to live the way she lived, because my grandma, my dad's mom, she would have did the same thing. And I love this woman with everything in me. Like like she would have did the same thing. She smoked cigarettes. And she smoked cigarettes. She smoked them long Moore cigarettes. She used to tell me go get her some cigarettes, and I say, Grandma, I'm not buying you no cigarettes. She's like, boy, you better go get me some cigarettes. I'm like, Grandma, I'm not, because I don't want to contribute to your unhealthy life. I don't want to contribute to that. I don't want to say I was buying Grandma cigarettes and Grandma died from a heart attack. Damn, I'm a part of the problem. But Grandma, she like, look, better go get me some. So I go get her some cigarettes, and then I remember telling her like, Grandma, I'm not buying you the most cigarettes. This is my last time buying you cigarettes. And
I
and she
mean,
had her money to buy her cigarettes. It wasn't that. It was just that I didn't want to go get them, whether she paid for them or I did. So,
right.
but check it out. So I used to go by grandma's every day. And one day I had to go to the eye doctor, and I went. I said, well, I started to stop by there. I was like, no, let me just wait till after I leave the eye doctor, because it was like right around the corner from her house, basically probably like not even a mile from her house. So I was like, I'll just go after, because if I stop, I'm gonna end up being late. So as I'm leaving the eye doctor, I get a call. Your grandma just had a stroke or something. She in the hospital. But my grandma had a stroke and died because she had blockage. After smoking cigarettes over all them years, it clogged her arteries up. So now your blood can't pass through. So it's once the blood can't pass through, that's when you have a stroke or a heart attack. Because if the blood can't pass through the body, it's over with.
Yeah.
Unless you get there, and it's just like, damn, it's just like, I wish grandma would have stopped smoking. But grandma wasn't worried about all that. Grandma was just gonna do what grandma felt like she was gonna do. No matter what I say, wasn't nothing I can do to change her mind. And that's why I say you have to be at peace with that. Because when you at peace with that, you can live on. And I'm not saying that you ain't gonna live on, but you can live on without feeling like, is there something I could have said or did to change? No, it's ain't nothing you could do. Because they're where they're at, and they're comfortable with where they're at. That's okay. That's okay. So where you're at in your life, you're comfortable with that, and that's just what it is. And as hard as it may be to swallow, it's just something I'm like, dang, I wish grandma would have, but ain't nothing I could have did.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's crazy because deep down inside, I know all of this, and I've already probably thought about all this. I know, like even how they ate back then was different, like
Yeah.
oxtails,
Yeah.
chitlins, that stuff. It was
Yeah.
like that's just what they did,
Yeah.
and I know it, but you know, I still be thinking about it at the end of the day. It's still in my mind, and I guess that's why I'm trying to do the podcast, and hopefully people hear it and start to change and start thinking about other people as well after you figure out yourself and all that, and you learn about what you got going on, what you want to do. You start thinking about the people around you, and because no matter, I feel like we all think we all in our own world a
Yeah.
lot of the times, but it's always somebody out there that's got love for you or love you in some way. So don't forget that when you feeling down or whatnot. But that was the whole situation with the health and the grandma and even other people that's have had health problems. That was just one of the reasons that you know I wanted to start doing all this and decided to tag along with the podcast. But another reason is um different areas in like the lifestyle of like I wouldn't say like gang, but like even like drugs and just
Mm-hmm.
friends or like I had a friend down in St. Louis back when I was little or maybe more like I knew him before we came up here. I think when I was 4, whatnot, and we
Mm-hmm.
used to be real cool. And I used to come back down there through the summers. So being cool with him and coming back and forth, I got to see him after like certain times. Like say I'm gone for like a whole year, then I come back and see
Yeah.
what he doing. And every time I never knew what was really going on back where he was, how he was living, but I could see the difference kind of every time I came because it either was, well, first of all, his whole environment, like him living with his mom, it was always like smell like weed or smoke, like bad cigarette,
Yeah.
like the house was like stained with the smell of cigarettes and
Yeah.
sometimes weed and whatnot.
Yeah.
But it's just one time, eventually I came back and I don't think he was around no more. I think he was in the hospital because I think he was hanging around with some people and they were smoking weed and it turned out his weed was laced and he ended up in the hospital.
Yeah.
So that's
And
just
but going back and forth was something. Did he have a father around or any type of male figure?
nah. Actually, he didn't. It was him. It was in the house in the apartment building. It was his mom, his grandma, and his little brother.
And see, and see him. Everybody you just named, them are the people we doing our podcast for. People that it's so many people out there that just can't speak up for themselves. They don't have no self confidence. They don't have no one encouraging them. They don't have nobody telling you you are beautiful, you are smart, you are this, you are that. They have no one feeding their ego. They have no one giving them hugs. Like to this day, we hug like man, and we embrace each other because that's an exchange of energy, positive energy. That's a loving type of thing to do. You know what I'm saying? But if you haven't been taught love, shown love, then love is gonna be foreign to you. It's like I don't know what that is. All I know is pain. All I know is misery. All I know is violence. This is all I know. So if that's all you surrounded around, that's what you become. You be like they always say, you are a product of your environment. If your environment is drugs, gangs, sex, murder, just anything that's evil, then you become that. And and I know because I come from that.
Right.
I grew up in the heart of all this madness. And so as I grew, the madness grown within me as well. And so that's why I say these are the people we doing this for. The people who felt like they were worthless. The people that felt like the world gave up on them. The people that felt like, why I'm here by myself? Why ain't nobody here to help me? Why ain't nobody here to encourage me? Those people there's so many of those people out there, and there's so many people walking around with a face that don't belong on them because they're not
Mask.
being themselves. Because they scared to be themselves because they so worried about what other people gonna think. They so worried about somebody saying something to them or saying something about them on social media. Or I have people, it's just like as adults, like some of the things we do are so childish that you be like, how are you even a parent with that type of mindset, with that level of thinking, that childish way of thinking? Oh, such and such said something about me on Facebook or on IG, and they may not even said your name, but it's a situation that maybe you think they know about that happened with you, so you assume they're talking about you. But the world is so big, and some of the things that may have happened to you may have happened to this person as well. So they could be talking about someone else's experience. But your guilt and your shame within you is making you feel like someone's talking about me. So it's like we have so many reasons for doing the podcast, but I definitely want people to know that one of the biggest reasons we doing that is for all the people out there that feel under attack, that feel like I say lost, that feel like their parents maybe gave up on them, or they didn't have a dad, or they got treated this way. You have to still understand at the end of the day, it's on you to pick yourself up. It's on you to learn how to love yourself. It's on you to understand, hey, look, I need to do something for myself in order to help my situation. I can't continue to blame my past. I can't continue to blame my mother, my father, or my sister, my auntie, or anybody in my life, family or not family, for all the things that I'm going through. At some point, I have to take accountability. At some point, I have to be a better version of myself. And that's just really what I've been doing myself, because I did play the blame game. I did point the fingers. I did have low self-esteem. I did lack confidence. I did used to talk with my head down, scared to look a person in their eye, because no one taught me those things. I had to learn these things on my own. So now that I have children, how can I continue to complain about my parents or what my mom or my dad did or didn't do? My job now is to be the best version of myself in order for my son to say, that, look, Dad, I seen all the things you came from. What choice do I have but to stand up and do what I have to do? Because you could have folded, you could have did anything, you could have left, you could have not took on the responsibility, but you here, and so while you here, we're gonna grow, we're gonna make the best of our relationship. So it's just man, no matter what you've done in the past, if you've been a bad parent, and I mean like if you haven't been there for your child, if your child willing to accept you, go try to be a father. If you've been a bad mother, go try to be a better mother. Anything you've done in your life, just try to correct yourself moving forward, because if you still breathing, then that means you still have time to change and make things right. And that's just all we trying to do is like so many. It's like when I look on some of these social media outlets, I'm looking like into a pool or to a sea of unhappiness. It's like, damn. It's like, yeah, you should get your twos and fews of people that's saying something positive, but the majority is just so much negative, just breathing out negative energy. And it's like, how do we fight this? How do we change this? How do we like shift gears into a more positive, a more loving type of atmosphere overall? And the best way you can do that is to start with yourself.
And that's definitely true, because when you start and stop and think about it, we can really make the world how we want it. It's because it's all in our head. Because you never know the saying or heard the saying when they be like, they in their own world. And
Yeah.
that's literally real, because you could be thinking the world is a certain way and another person can be seeing the world a different way.
Yeah.
What you sometimes eventually stop and realize is that the world is really all about perspective at the end of the day. And that's the main thing we have control of, is our perspective. So depending on how you want to think about it is how your world is kind of going to be. But to even go back on the environment thing you were saying, I seen that, and this is one of the main reasons why I feel like the gears started turning in my head and I started thinking more, was because I seen it happen in real time, in real life. Because back to my friend that was in Alton, his name was Marquand, and in St. Louis, he hung around people who were like, the bad kids doing all random stuff. Because we had even gotten a fight with each other because of who he was around. And it was crazy because it was a situation that happened in the past, but we didn't even fight him. It was me and my cousin. We fought his friends that he was hanging around.
Mm-hmm.
But after that whole, his weed got laced and he was in the hospital, he couldn't even talk like regular no more. He couldn't talk straight no more. So it was like real bad. But then years passed, and my mom is best friends with his mom. So we came down to see him, and it was crazy to think that when we come down there, he's my age, but he had his own apartment. So we got to his apartment, and he let us in, and he was actually like talking normal, or talking way better than he was when we seen him. Because like I said, it was way worse. It was bad. He can barely talk. Now he was talking normal, and he had changed his whole diet. He had went when we went in his refrigerator, all he had was a bunch of fruits, and he was like on a juice diet at the time. And he had a couch and a TV in his room, and he was watching videos about like getting your health together, or different fruits, and like the truth about other stuff. I was like mind blown to see him at my age got his own apartment and had changed his whole diet up with basically on his own, because I didn't say this before, but his mom wasn't really, she did a lot of things in spite of him, like kind of just the people she messed with was not good to be around for a kid or whatnot. So he had all that going on, but still was able to get back from the he having his stuff spiced and changed his diet and started thinking about the right things. And right then and there, when we came down to see him, he was thinking about moving, and he wanted to he wanted to talk to you. I remember he said he wanted to talk to you, and he wanted to come down to our house, me and my mom's house, or at my mom's house, and he had to make a decision, either come down to my mom's house or he wanted to go with some family he had just found out about in Chicago. And lo and behold, later on, he decided to go to Chicago instead of come to Atlanta. And after what happened in Chicago, he had went back to the weed and all the other stuff, and kind of had got backtracked in St. Louis. And I was just like, I had time to think about it, and I was like, man, if only he had just came, or I was able to get him to come to Atlanta, things would be different. And I would be true. He would be on the podcast with us probably right now if he decided or was able to come down here. But that's just the route he took. But me seeing all this happen, like looking looking in, it had me thinking and made me want to do the changes and start doing the podcast. So that's another thing that made me want to talk to everybody and just let it be known about these things.
Yeah, and I'm so glad that you decided to do the podcast. I'm actually grateful, and I appreciate you too, and I appreciate you being patient, because sometimes I can be something else. I know that. I know I could be something else, but overall we get along. We get things done. We're not lazy. We work. I'm up at 3:30 in the morning. You up shortly after, depending on what you did the night before. But regardless of when you get up, you always take care of your business. You don't sit there and procrastinate. You don't make excuses. So I just appreciate you, and I appreciate being able to do the podcast with my son. And for those who don't know, this is not my only child, but some would think that when they see us doing the show and how much we do it, at some point, hopefully I can get all my kids on here at some point. It's 7 altogether, but that's a lot. But yeah, he just took a liking to this type of lifestyle, as far as the eating, as far as being health, as far as going to the gym. And that's just something that I do already. I go to the gym. I'm on my health real big. And I'm just about family, and just always try to push that down my kids' throat, like family, 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 family. Always try to do that. So doing the podcast, like I say, it's just been so much fun. It's been hard work. It's been dedication as well, but it's just something that I couldn't imagine like doing nothing else. Now that we're doing this. This is what we're going to be doing. We're going to be saving lives, changing lives. And just hopefully y'all just ride this ride with us, because this is going to be something, a father and son podcast, something that you really don't see too much of. You may not never have seen this before, and you may have, but I haven't. And it's just father and son. That's just big for me, and it's huge. And hopefully the world out there can see what we're doing, and they can go on this journey with us and help us save lives together.
Yeah,
definitely.
And I hope with people start to realize that we need to start working more together than criticizing each other, or like going against each other for every little thing. Because when you stop and start to realize that it's a certain agenda that's against us already. We don't need to be going against each other because there's so many things that's already trying to weigh us down. Like I've already said in the beginning.
Yeah.
So we need to start, coming together and thinking of things to counteract, what's going on. I feel like we should like have things to teach kids about natural remedies and medicines that won't have to lead to other causes like medicine leading to other things that you need to take more medicine for. It's like it's more important things that we should start thinking about working together on creating a better generation for the kids coming on, or even like just even people my age or
Yeah.
in any age. So.
But you got it. But that starts. It takes a level of responsibility on the parents too, because like I said, a lot of people that I know, they out of shape.
Well, yeah, that's why
They out of shape. So what I'm saying is, how can I? This is like me telling you about working out, and I'm sitting over here 400 pounds. You really not gonna really.
Okay,
Like
yeah.
you're not. It's like, Dad, I know you want me to work out, but shouldn't you start first? You 400 pounds.
Yeah,
So it's like
that's
it's
true,
hard for me to try to get you to do this and do that, and I'm not doing it. But me telling you like about the food, but I'm sitting over here eating the pork chop.
Yeah, but I think it's reasons.
What all I'm saying is, in order to do that, we first have to make a change. In order for me to teach you about food, I have to be already doing it. I can't be talking about vegan this and how you do this and do that, and I'm eating a pork chop. So all I'm saying is, the parents have to take the first step if they want to teach their children a different way, because it starts with the parent. It starts at like even doing the podcast, like everything that we doing, we kind of like you would be like, Dad, you want me to start a podcast, or Dad, you want me to eat this way, or Dad, you want me to go to the gym, and you're not doing none of these things that you're telling me to do. It's just hard for me to. But if you're doing it, it's
I mean,
more,
I wouldn't. Me personally, I wouldn't need you to be doing this stuff because I chose it on my own
Yeah.
accordance to how I thought about it and all the things I experienced. But I was already like you said about the parents. I was finna say what I was finna say was that's why I think we started with the mental or traumas and all that with the starting with this
coming
podcast
back, yeah.
because it's about the parents and they usually have or have not done or are not in the shape because of certain stuff they still in the past about. So
Yeah.
that's why we came and started this way. I know
Yeah.
that you can't preach something that you're not doing.
Yeah.
So we talk to the parents about mental issues or the trauma, and hopefully they go and fix that. Now we can throw over to the health now.
Hold on, let me ask you. You ever been in the gym and you see somebody and they a personal trainer, you like, that's a personal trainer?
I've seen coaches more like
but I'm saying I've seen personal trainer and they sitting there with they little, and I need you to do it. And you like, you need to be getting down here on the ground with me. That's all I apologize. I got a little weight. But I'm just saying, like, I know people that be like, that's a personal trainer.
yeah.
Like,
I'm just saying, because then as soon as it get hard, or as soon as the parent trying to tell the kids to do this or that, when it get hard, the kid gonna be like, you know what, why am I gotta do it? And you not even or you not this or you not that. So yeah, I get that.
Yeah. So hopefully, like I say, I'm just like I'm hoping that we continue to touch people's lives, and I hope that people really take observation of what's going on around them, like the music, the TV shows they're watching, the different conversations they're having with people, because all those things play a role in the way we think, the way we move, and anything that we incorporate into our life. It's all based on the different things that we allow into our life, the different things that we allow to shape the way we think. So your food is a big part of that. Your friends, your conversations, your music, your form of entertainment as far as TV and things of that nature on YouTube or whatever you're watching. all those things are going to shape you into whatever life you live or the life you're going to be living. So please take time to start reading a little bit more. Even myself, I had to start doing that myself. Like reading and just turning off the TV for a little bit and just taking time out to learn something different to change our life. Because like they say, the only way you're going to change what's going on in your life is by changing yourself. So change starts from within. Learn how to love, stop hating on each other, whether it's within the family, whether it's outside the family. We got to build better relationships and learn how to communicate and try to leave our feelings on the side and leave our emotions to the side. And I mean, well, of course we're going to have emotions, but we got to be able to control them, especially if they're emotions that's going to cause a negative reaction. Any emotion that's positive, bring it on. But the negative stuff, we need to push that to the side and learn how to communicate, because it's so many lives that could be saved if we just learn how to communicate. I mean, honestly, it's so many different things that I just look back in the past, even from my own point of view. If I knew how to communicate in the past, ain't no telling whose life could have been saved, or just anything that we could have did to avoid from having a bad decision or making a bad decision just by communicating. So we got to be able to do that. And that's something I think a lot of people, whether they're young, whether they're old, or in between, really need to focus on learning how to communicate, because that can solve a lot of your problems, a lot of your issues, whether it's in your marriage, whether it's in your relationship with your children, whether it's at work, whether it's at the gym. No matter what walk of life that you're on, if you learn how to communicate, your day can probably go a little bit easier, and things will probably get done in a better way if you learn how to communicate. Same thing, like we might have an issue and I'm like, that was my fault. I should have did a better job communicating that to you. Because communication is everything. And sometimes I do be off sometimes, but I tell him quick, hey, look, that was my fault. I apologize. What, you gonna beat me up? Like, my fault, and we move on. And I'm just saying, like, man, this is the greatest thing in the world. This is the best feeling in the world, to actually be able to share this platform with such a beautiful young man. Like, I really appreciate you, and I thank you for just being able to be accountable, being able to be reliable, being able to be loyal and trustworthy. Like you embodied all those different things, and I couldn't do this without you having that character. You have a great character, and just I would rather do this with you than anybody, pretty much anybody. Like, I would rather do this with you because I just know your character and I just know how you move, and I'm just very appreciative of that. So we're gonna continue to put out good material. We're gonna keep rocking. We're gonna keep doing this, and thank you for allowing me to share this with you.
I appreciate all that. No, I appreciate all that.
No,
And,
for real.
I guess we're coming to the end here.
Definitely, definitely.
I guess one last thing I want to say is, if you having trouble keeping consistency doing something, I think what you should do is, instead of making it like a chore or like a schedule or something, make it your lifestyle. So then you won't struggle with trying to be consistent about it. It's just how you live. Turn it into a lifestyle if you want it. If it's something that's going to benefit you.
Definitely. And before we go, we would like for anybody out there that's watching, if you want, if you have different topics, or if you're going through something, you can leave some in the comments. Please put any questions you may have. Anybody dealing with any type of trauma, whether it's physical, whether it's mental, if you're just going through something, just reach out to us, because we definitely will reach back to you. And like I said at the beginning, our mission is to heal ourselves and heal the people around us, and anybody else who's willing to heal and make a change for the better. So until the next episode, peace and love. We appreciate y'all. Thank you so much. Until next time, we out. Peace.